Last weekend in the NBA All-Star game, All-Star weekend, was a beautiful sight, man. Beautiful sight. Watching all these legends. I remember when they did the NBA 50. Still got the post on my wall in my house, my childhood home. So now to see the NBA 75 and see some of these guys that were on that 50 team, but they were younger, and see them age, and just see them all come together, man, with these mix of new guys. It was a beautiful sight. But seeing all the love also got me thinking about all the beef in that room as well. You saw it with KG and Ray Allen. We think, I don't know, because they got a viral post where Ray Allen is walking past KG and it looked like KG is trying to bite his lip not to say something. But then also they posted a picture of the big three, KG, Ray Allen, and Paul Pierce together. So I don't know. Is that beef dead? Uh, we've heard of other beefs that's transpired in the league. Uh, this ain't a beef that was between the NBA 75, but I know like Charles Barkley and Charles Oakley got smoked. I'm reading Charles Oakley's book right now. And Charles Oakley opens the book by talking about slapping the shit out of Charles Barkley. Okay. And of course, we know the beef, in my opinion, of all beefs. Let me see if Stanley agrees with this. Michael
Well, let
Jordan
me ask.
and Isaiah Thomas. They didn't speak. I didn't catch them speaking. Okay. So now I'm wondering though, who you got as the greatest superstar beef in NBA history? They can be opponents, they can be teammates, it can be cross generational.
Mm-hmm.
What you got is the greatest superstar beef in league history?
So I had fun with this subject, thinking about it and going back in my head of beefs in the NBA. And the main thing when you posed the question, I thought about the Charles Barkley and Charles Oakley thing, but Charles Oakley is not a superstar. So you posed the question as a superstar. So I stuck the superstar in my head. And I want to give some honorable mentions before I give my top pick of what the number one superstar beef is. So I'm gonna start off with a little with the beef, the familiar few years back, 2016, that started it off. I'm gonna go with Kevin Durant and Russell Westbrook. We saw that situation how it unfolded. Uh, Kevin Durant leaves Russell Westbrook at OKC. Didn't tell him he was leaving, and jumps on a team they lost to in the Western Conference Finals in Oklahoma. I mean Golden State.
Mm-hmm.
So he goes to that team, and you can see the tension between these men. And what you like to see was competitive, just competitive basketball. But you can see the tension of what these guys had between each other. You can see how Russell Westbrook wasn't messing with Kevin Durant at this time. Kevin Durant kind of was being petty with him and doing certain things, and the whole cupcake thing and stuff like that when he came back to OKC. So that was a good beef, but it's been subsided. These guys have kind of like moved on. Kevin Durant said he was wrong in the situation, and did that situation. Another beef with superstars. Well, it's one superstar in particular entwined in this beef. Um, and these other guys were rising stars to superstardom, but they never quite got to that level. But if we go back to the 90s, we're gonna go with Jason Kidd, uh, Massburn, Jim Jackson, Jamal Massburn. You recall this beef? This is when the whole Tony Braxton situation happened. Jason Kidd was dating Tony Braxton, and Jim Jackson stole her away. Took out on a date and all this other shit, you know, whatever happened between them, whatever. But mainly the thing that led to it was a lot of these cats, they each had egos and the tensions with their situation. They wanted each one of them wanted to lead the team in their situation. So they wanted to be the number one guy, and none of them decided their ego to come together as a team. So that, not really sure if that really worked itself out between them. I don't really hear those guys talk to each other, talk about each other in that situation. You don't see them around each other, whatever. But that's on a little bit of scale right there. The next one, one of my favorite pair growing up, close pair to in the 90s, was Alonzo Mourning and Larry Johnson. If you recall that beef. And that started off at the very beginning because Alonzo Mourning and Larry Johnson didn't get along. Each had the ego, wanted to be the guy. And Larry Johnson got paid first. And Alonzo Mourning was upset about that and really thought he should be the guy that been the highest paid on the team and stuff like that. So he ended up going to Miami. Larry Johnson ended up hurting his back in Charlotte and ended up getting to the Knicks. And you saw it unravel itself in the 98 playoffs, a game 4 that in that series with Jeff Van Gundy hanging on the Charles Oakley leg, trying to squash the situation with these guys throwing these bows at each other, man. You saw the tension, man. You saw that, and that was classic 90s, in the 90s basketball right there, man. That 98, that scene that you'll never forget if you grew up in that area and looked at it. Then you go, my next one is, you got to go with Shaq and Kobe, man. That beef, like you can't. That beef just led to.
You love that beef, didn't you? Your Laker hating ass.
Well, it's not just I love the beef because they were still y'all. This is the only beef where the players was still winning throughout it. So like, I didn't. In that sense, I would hope that the beef would led to them losing, but they won 3 titles with it. And you know, Kobe wanted to be the man. He looked at Shaq coming in out of shape, not working on his conditioning in the off season and stuff like that, and looked down upon that and stuff like that. Then you had the situation happening in Colorado with Kobe. God bless his soul, but he comes out and says, "Shaq, I should have done what Shaq did in this situation." And
yeah, he sure did say that. I forgot about that.
Yeah, Kobe Bryant, he kind of snitched on his brother right there, and then Shaq
doing rap songs talking about Kobe, how my ass tastes and shit.
How my dick tastes, and offer the man to his genitals. You know, we don't do that, man. Like you offer a man to your genitals, you that's some serious shit behind that. But that's what that did. But luckily, before the tragic passing of Kobe, they rectified that situation, and they came to terms with this, and kind of made amends before Kobe passed away. But I'm gonna have to go with my brother, man. That Jordan and Isaiah beef, that is some real tension, man. It's been 30 years. 30 years. And these guys are still, you saw it in The Last Dance. Everybody saw that. You saw how Jordan ended up facing this team 4 straight times in the playoffs. And finally overcoming them at the end and having to endure what Isaiah was putting on them and with the All-Star game, sending the guys after him and what they was trying to do to Jordan physically on the basketball court to beat him up every time he drove to the basket and stuff like that. So Jordan took offense to that. Then Isaiah not shaking the hands after that, and they never lived that down and stuff like that. And then you got the Olympics, uh, 92 Olympics. Isaiah is allegedly the Jordan and Pippen they want Isaiah on the team and stuff. And some other cats, Magic too, even though he skates out of everything. But he was one of them. He was one of them that didn't want Isaiah on the team and stuff like that. And it's just that beef still is going on. And you hear Isaiah every time he tries to uplift um, LeBron James to put him as the #1 player of all time, just to shit on Jordan and stuff like that. And you could just hear just the pettiness of it, and it's just you could feel it, man. You could just feel it. You could feel the tension and when they was at the 70 at that ceremony the other day. You could just feel it, and that you can't beat that, man. That's the biggest superstar beef of all time in the NBA.
I'm gonna have to go with that one as well. I still think though I need to deep dive with them 70s and the 60s when it comes to beef too, though. You know what I'm saying? But just from the stories I've heard, the only thing I can really get out of like the 70s was Wilt and Kareem.
Yeah,
Where Wilt kind of took Kareem under his wing, but then they shit went left. And when it went left, it went left. Cause like they were throwing shots at each other in interviews and in books and all kind of shit. You know what I'm saying? Which is unfortunate because these motherfuckers so incredible. They're both arguably the greatest centers of all time, and shit, both of them got a GOAT claim. Both of them got a legitimate GOAT claim. You know what I'm saying? From Kareem being ungodly on every level of basketball. If y'all know about it, his high school record, his college record, like everybody talking about LeBron finna break his record. Imagine if Kareem could have played in this era. Kareem wouldn't have had to go. First of all, imagine if Kareem could have came straight out of high school. He went crazy in high school. He would have been straight out of high school and been a #1 pick. So imagine how many more points he would have had. Like, this shit insane. Then Wilt, if you look at his points per game, still is only surpassed by Michael Jordan, and that's just by like 1/10 of a point. This dude averaged like 30 and like 22 for his career. This shit is nuts. But these boys end up beefing hard. It seemed like they were the antithesis of each other politically too, because Wilt was a vocal Republican, and Kareem, I'm assuming he's a Democrat now by today's standards. You know what I'm saying? But y'all saw how he was, who he was. He was that with Ali. You know what I'm saying? So I think it's safe to say Kareem is a progressive. Okay, let's just fuck the parties. Let's just say Kareem is a progressive, he's liberal, and I'll say that Wilt was a conservative. You know what I'm saying? So them motherfuckers just were different. So I got to throw that out there for back in the gap. But from more modern times, you're right. I said superstar beef, but shit in my eyes, me personally, Chuck Oakley is a superstar to me because I value what he did. I think he was absolutely key to that Knicks team. You know what I'm saying? Especially. He did make an all-star team. But if we're going to call Dennis Rodman a superstar.
You keep shitting on Dennis Rodman, man.
I'm not shitting on Dennis, but Dennis gets the luxury of getting his dick sucked by not having response. On all the teams Dennis won on, he didn't have as much responsibility as somebody that gets that same kind of publicity. He was never the second best player on a championship winning team. But he gets as much publicity as a second best player on a championship winning team. Shit, maybe the first best player on some championship winning teams. Dennis Rodman has more ink than Chauncey Billups or Rip Hamilton will ever get. You know what I'm saying? Chauncey Billups was the finals MVP. You know what I'm saying? Dennis Rodman get as much ink as Dirk Nowitzki, seems like much ink or just motherfuckers sticking a microphone in his face because he dyed his hair and put on a dress and fucked Madonna. So that's all I'm saying. But maybe Charles Oakley not a superstar, but I fuck with Charles Oakley. He's not a superstar. Okay, cool. He's not a superstar. But that was a dope ass beef because Charles Barkley, very outspoken. He talk a hell of a lot of shit. But Charles Oakley say, if Charles Barkley see me today, his ass going the other way. That's crazy. I was trying to go through my mental to find somebody on an opposing team that Kobe just another superstar that Kobe had beef with. I can't think of one. That's crazy that this man's beef history is really tied to his fucking teammate. Like it's guys who are supposed to be the Kobe stopper or whatever, but seem like the rivals, the other superstar guys, they love Kobe. It was smoke on the court. Like him and AI, you can see them on the court cussing each other out.
Him and Ray Allen had a little thing.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I did hear about that. That's true. Touche. This one right here might fall into that Charles Oakley Barkley thing. Okay. But I still want to mention it because it's fun. Joakim Noah and LeBron. Joakim Noah hates LeBron. That motherfucker there.
But he tried to join the Lakers a couple years ago.
Noah did?
Yeah.
I had to double back on that.
He tried out.
Well, let's say he hated LeBron then. He hated LeBron. I'll say he hated LeBron. Maybe they patched things up.
He hated.
When he was with Chicago, it was smoke. It was smoke back then. And if Derrick Rose hadn't got hurt, them boys still, even when Bron went to the Heat, them damn Bulls played such great defense and played as a unit, and him being the engine of that offense, them motherfuckers there was scary. Rodman and Scotty. Yeah, he was with Scotty couldn't stand that motherfucker. Scotty gave ink to his motherfucking ass for referee in his book. He said he couldn't stand Dennis Rodman and talks about how he used to let Rodman get in his head.
With the migraine.
With the migraine thing. Okay, yeah. But again, as I've said, man, people really overblow that. This is where I had to defend Scotty. Nobody played well in that game outside of Michael Jordan for the Bulls. No,
I agree.
Horace played like shit.
But I don't consider that.
You don't see that beef.
I think Rodman was just getting to him.
Man, Rodman shoved the shit out that motherfucker. Rodman was doing dirty ass shit to Pip in all them playoff series. He was doing dirty shit intentionally to Pip, like crazy shit. And Pip couldn't stand him. But obviously they patched that up in Chicago. Paul Pierce and LeBron, they got to go in there. Paul Pierce up here, like Zeke, like Isaiah hates on Mike. Paul Pierce be doing a little much now in his analysis. You know, before the weed and the stripper incident, when he was on TV, he was doing the most in his analysis. What did he even have Bron in his top 10?
I don't think so.
Like, come on, man. Like he wilding with that now. That's crazy now. Like he really be shitting on Bron. I don't know how Bron feels about him.
Level, man. I wouldn't. It's not on this level. Not on LeBron's level. Because what would Paul Pierce be legacy wise? I think you said this last week. Without KG and Ray Allen.
Well, that leads me to KG and LeBron. Because KG be saying some crazy shit about Bron too. And I love KG now. I love KG. But KG still throwing shots at Bron to this day. KG got pissed off with Ray for going down there with LeBron. That's really like The start of that beef because you left us and went with the motherfuckers we beefing with. You know what I'm saying? So it's some smoke there, which I don't know if that one gonna mean. I don't know. KG a good dude at his core for all the crazy she be saying. And you know, Bron don't want no problem with nobody for real, for real. They probably end up patching things up. I don't know. But just look at this list though. Isaiah is the problem, man.
Oh yeah, with him
We
and
got Mike and Isaiah,
Magic and Isaiah,
Magic
Bird.
and Isaiah, which America, maybe y'all don't know the genesis of the Isaiah thing. Y'all know that Magic Johnson contracted HIV and
Legend.
you know had shut your mouth, had to dip out of the league, okay? And then when that happened, you know, maybe y'all don't know, it's 2022, so maybe y'all don't know that at that time, HIV/AIDS was viewed as a gay man's disease, okay? So when Magic Johnson, who in many people's eyes, still by this is what 1991, yeah, this is going into the 1991-92 series, season, excuse me. Magic is viewed as bigger than Mike. Like bigger. I think Mike was the better player by then, clearly, because he, you know, better offensively and was defensive player of the year worthy every year. But this Magic Johnson played for the Lakers, Showtime, 5 championships by then. 6'9", glowing smile. Like people loved this man. So for him to have HIV, boom, it was a bombshell. So then folks start speculating on whether or not Magic is gay. and Magic was like, you know, you expect to get that kind of whispers from fuckboys, you know what I'm talking about? Or like Karl Malone, who said he didn't want to play with Magic, he worried about HIV. But the streets say Isaiah Thomas was even out here saying things. His homie, the motherfucker y'all can look up and see them kissing each other before the damn game. These motherfuckers were everywhere together. And they started beefing. And they didn't goddamn squash the beef until they sat down for one of them one-on-one joints. And Zeke up here crying and shit. That shit was crazy. It was great theater. But that shit was crazy to watch them dudes sit up there and go through all that. But Zeke they had to have that kind of sit down, bro. Zeke is the problem. Scotty and Isaiah. Scotty still hates this man. It's in his book. He hates this man to this day.
Bird
and Isaiah. I got that on the list. America, maybe you missed this. It's in the Bad Boys 30 for 30. Where they say Rodman said that if Larry Bird was black, he'd just be another good player. And I guess Isaiah says they came to him after Rodman made those remarks. And basically, like, Isaiah would say he just echoed Rodman. So it's like Isaiah trying to say, really, he didn't say it. He just, you know. So then that turned into a big racial thing and all that type of shit. And they had to do a little press conference. And y'all know Larry Bird comes off as, I don't give a fuck about nothing. But when it came to that dream team shit, they said it wasn't just Mike that didn't want it. Mike is capping like Mike, you didn't want him. Come on, man. Okay, cool. But they saying Magic didn't want him, Scotty didn't want him, Bird didn't want him, Patrick didn't want him, a lot of these motherfuckers didn't want him. Charles Oakley says even his own coach Chuck Daly didn't want him. Zeke seems to be the problem, man. And I love Zeke, other than his Michael Jordan hating. They telling me that Isaiah Thomas did a lot for the league in terms of getting these players power. That the Pistons were the first team to fly private. You know, you had these motherfuckers world champions, and they like he really pushed the envelope on a lot of stuff. He speaks eloquently on our matters, that things that pertain to our community, I fuck with Zeke. But it seemed like Zeke, his opponents don't. His opponents don't. They respect his game. I think Mike even says he's the second greatest point guard ever. That's high fucking praise. That's extremely high praise to say that. Maybe Mike is a little era bias too, though. But you got John Stockton in that era. Now Mike is old enough to have seen some of those guys that came before his era, growing up watching ball. Now, of course, you see all the guards doing their thing. Now he still say Isaiah Thomas. So I guess they respect his game, but they can't stand that motherfucker. Okay, here's my question to you. Do we get a Mike Jordan and Isaiah Thomas one-on-one sit down like Kobe and Shaq did, like Magic and Isaiah did? Do we ever get that? Shit, Shaq had to do one with Penny too. Shaq is the problem too.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Shaq is the problem as well. Do you think we ever get that sit down?
Hell no. No. No.
Why not? Who's the stubborn one?
Both.
I think
more stubborn than Isaiah.
Charles Oakley says Isaiah wants to sit down.
I know. Mike more stubborn than him. Charles, like Mike and Charles Barkley, they'll never get back together.
I think it's a chance there.
No.
But I say I think it's a chance there because it's like Chuck knows the line he crossed, which Mike being a little unfair, if that's what he's talking about. If that's truly what happened, he got mad because he criticized his GM moves. I think Chuck being a little Mike might be being a little unfair. But who knows? This Chuck we talking about now. Maybe he did a little more than that. But when it comes to Isaiah, like you said, behind closed doors, Isaiah is probably talking about he want to have it sit down. But publicly, Isaiah is on the warpath. Because I follow him on Twitter as well. You know what I'm saying? Either I follow him or based on my likes and shit, the algorithm keeps showing me Isaiah shit. Anytime he get the opportunity to say something on Bron, if it be like a stat that's out there that elevates Bron and shit like that, he gonna make sure he throw that shit up there. He gonna do it. It's like that's his way of beating Mike by putting Bron up there. You know what I'm saying? So he's still on the warpath, and I don't think Mike gonna forgive him with that. Oh fuck, we forgot. Mike and Scotty.
I thought about that, but I think that's one way. I don't think you'll ever hear anything from Mike from that.
But so they don't like each other though. It's a beef, man. That man, he. Again, I'm going off the Charles Oakley book. That's a wrap for that relationship.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You'll never hear anything from Mike on that situation. Just like with the Chuck thing, I didn't put Mike and Chuck on there because you'll never hear anything from Mike. It's just over. The relationship is just done. I don't think it's really a beef. It's just done. But the pettiness back from Isaiah or what they did to each other puts them at that upper echelon level. So it's just
they froze that man out of that All-Star game. Everybody put it on the damn walkout after they swept him in 91, but that shit was already brewing.
Oh yeah.
That shit was already brewing. And then Charles Oakley go say, Isaiah, you just mad because this man, because you from Chicago and this man came to your town and took over your fucking town. Shut up. This shit. That's crazy. But that's what I got, America. I know y'all may know some more beefs that we left out. I am curious to see if y'all know some beefs that we are leaving out, even if it's not superstars. You know what I'm saying? Are there any good beefs y'all remember in the league? You know what I'm talking about? That should go down in NBA history. Let us know what y'all got. Put it on something. My kids wanted me to tell y'all to make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel, follow me across all social media platforms, like the videos, and share them. Did I forget anything?
And turn on the post notifications.
Y'all heard them. And also, visit StatementTeesLLC.com and shop with us. That's Statement Tees. Every t-shirt you wear
makes a statement.